Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Josh.
And I'm Erin.
And we're back with another double blind head-to-head where we react to the pours and the price before we find out what we're drinking.
If what we're drinking is available, is it worth the money?
If it's hard to get, is it worth the hype and the hunt?
Keep watching to find out. Welcome to the channel, bringing a real-world perspective to the real-world whiskey consumer.
We're not professional whiskey tasters, but we will randomly select one of these matchups to taste totally blind so that you get our completely honest, unbiased opinions. You'll see what we think about each pour separate and apart from any labels or bias. In the end, we'll give each product a real-world score based on the blind tasting, the price and the availability, and whether we would buy it again or not.
So if that sounds like your jam, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And if you want to keep seeing videos like this, go ahead and subscribe.
And if you like blind tastings like this, be sure to check the video description below for our Patreon link. We do blind flight nights over there where you can get a blind flight and do it with us on a private live stream. It's a ton of fun. We also have all kinds of other stuff on Patreon as well, including 2 additional bonus episodes every week. Check it out down there in the video description below. Right now, what we need to do is run our randomizer and find out which one of these 18 pairs from our blind sample pool we'll be drinking today.
Number 8.
Number 8. So there's 9 in each row. So this is going to be the 8th pair. We're going to get these poured and be right back with our first impressions on glass 1.
Smells a little earthy to me.
I'm getting just a lot of fruity, classic bourbon sweetness on it. Apple, vanilla, caramel, oak. I say it all the time on this channel. Very traditional bourbon nose.
I'm not. Maybe my nose is broken today.
Okay, let's get into the palate.
All right. Flavor's kind of earthy to me too.
Interesting, yeah. It's not as sweet as I expected. It's higher proof than I thought based on the nose. I am fighting a little bit of a cold here, getting over that. So that could be hampering me a little bit in the smelling department. Although we filmed a couple videos in the last couple days and it hasn't been. So I'm inclined to believe that what I'm getting is the experience I'm actually having and not just hampered by a cold.
I'm not getting a ton on this.
I'm getting a lot of flavor on the palate. The nose is coming across like a 90 proof pour, but on the palate it's coming across as a lot more than that.
Yeah, it does drink a little higher proof than I thought. Maybe there's like a sharpness there that makes me feel like it's my higher proof. It does go a bit sharp at the end.
Yeah, it does. It comes in sharp. And then it kind of mellows out on the middle of the palate, and then it does get sharp on the finish as well. The oak spice that's there isn't voluminous, but it is kind of sharp.
Yeah.
And it's not a super refined pour.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting pour because it's not in the easy sipper kind of intro beginner category.
No, I wouldn't say that at all.
But it's not so well crafted and balanced enough that I would consider it to be like a very flavorful pour that you would seek out. It just is kind of coming across a little bit unrefined and rowdy. Interesting. I'm gonna get
rowdy. That's a good. I like that. Yeah. It is kind of rowdy.
Let's get into glass 2 and see what we're working with.
It smells a little more robust in smell.
It's coming across a little bit more syrupy and more well-rounded on the nose, and there's definitely more on the nose. More alcohol in glass 1. This is coming across more rounded.
It drinks a lot lighter. It's almost like tea-like, or like a flat Coke.
Interesting. I'm not getting the tea-like note. Well, you know what? Now that it's sitting on my palate on the finish, I can actually understand what you're saying. To me, these are both in that kind of typical bourbon flavor profile. Glass 1 is just, like I said, a little bit more unbalanced. Glass 2 is a little bit more balanced. It has a little bit of a deeper oak note to anchor that sweetness, and it doesn't have quite as many sharp edges as glass 1.
It's not as sharp. And I think for me, the first one seemed kind of effervescent because of the sharpness, and this one seems a little more less sharp, like flat Coca-Cola, like not effervescent.
It'll be really interesting to spend some time with these to see if our first impressions stay the same, if they change. We're going to do that right now, and we'll be back with some proper thoughts after we spend some time with these glasses. All right, after spending some time with these pours, what do you think? Let's start with glass 1.
All right, so for me, glass 1 gets a thumbs up on the nose, just okay on the flavor, and just okay on overall experience.
Okay. For me, glass 1 gets a thumbs up on the nose. Glass 1 threw me for a loop in full disclosure. So on the nose, I wrote caramel, floral question mark, brown sugar question mark, barbecue sauce question mark, which is a note that I do randomly get on bourbons, and I'm not sure why sometimes.
Interesting.
But I think it's something to do with like the brown sugar mixed with like a florally note.
Perhaps.
But this has that a little bit. And then on the palate, the flavors go, thumbs up. Again, floral and brown sugar are the two parts of that nose that came through on the palate the most. And then for overall experience, I gave it a just okay. In comparison to Glass 2, it was a little thin and a little short on finish.
Sharp too.
A little sharp, yeah. So it's just okay on experience for me. Speaking of Glass 2, let's get into it. Where are you at on Glass 2?
Glass 2 is a solid thumbs up on nose, thumbs up on flavor, and thumbs up on experience. I don't really have any notes other than it was good.
Yeah. I gave Glass 2 a thumbs up on the nose. I said it was caramel, apple juice, and oak. And then I kind of got a grape nerds note on it that came through that kind of stuck with me.
I get the caramel. I don't get the grape nerds though.
Yeah. On the flavors, thumbs up. All that stuff carried over to the palate, minus the grape nerds so much, but apple juice and oak were kind of the predominant things.
Yeah.
And then on the experience, thumbs up. I said it was decently oily, medium finish. I'm happy with both pours. They're both pretty good.
Yeah.
Sounds like by your scores, you had a preference for Glass 2.
Yeah, Glass 2 was my preference. I wouldn't hate it if someone poured me Glass 1 though. Like I wouldn't be mad at it.
Yeah.
But if I got to pick between the two, I'd pick Glass 2 over Glass 1.
I think what Glass 2's bringing to the table over Glass 1 is it's a little bit more refined. It's a little bit more rounded.
Or it seems more refined.
You get a little bit more balance in the glass to our palates. And we both had that same experience. So I can't wait to find out what these two are. Let's find out.
Let's do it.
We'll find out price first, and then we'll find out what we've been drinking. So Glass 1 is number 44.
Okay.
And Glass 2 is number 45. So price on Glass 1, our least preferred glass.
$30.
Okay. I'm not mad at that for what you're getting in the glass. That's a decent $30 pour.
Yeah.
Glass 2.
$35.
Okay. Not bad.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at either one of these.
I wouldn't be mad at Glass 2 if it was even like 40 or 45.
Yeah. I would buy Glass 2 at 40. I'm happy buying either one of these at that price. Let's find out what they are. Our least preferred, Glass 1, 44.
Evan Williams single barrel.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's only 86.6 proof.
Yeah. It did not come across that low a proof, which is kind of saying we'll talk about our experience non-blind with these. Glass 45.
Eagle Rare.
Man, Eagle Rare is like monopolizing the channel here lately. We had an episode in December.
Not on purpose.
No, we had an episode in December, and then we had another episode in early January, and then this is coming out like 2 weeks later. It went up against, what did it go up against the first time around? Buffalo Trace, and then Russell's Reserve 10, and then now against Evan Williams single barrel.
It's 90 proof too. It drinks about 100 proof, I'd say. It drinks a little higher than 90, but
it's coming across that way for us today. We're early in the night when we're filming this. We've had one pour prior to this, which was a 90 proof pour.
Yeah.
This is coming across a little bit more flavorful than that. Both of these are, to be quite honest with you. This is really interesting because non-blind, Eagle Rare, it's funny that I got oak and grape nerds because that is something I get on Eagle Rare about half the time.
Interesting. Okay.
And then on the Evan Williams single barrel, is about an 8-year product. This is a 10-year product in Eagle Rare. Evan Williams, I typically get more oak. And today it threw me for a total loop, and it came across sharp. It never comes across that way in a non-blind. It comes across pretty easy sipping, and it's usually a really enjoyable pour for me. But it just came across a little thin compared to Eagle Rare. Yeah. So you know what we need to do right now is we need to talk about retail and consumer metrics. So we've got Glass 1 Evan Williams single barrel.
Okay.
$30, 8-year Kentucky bourbon, widely available in almost every market.
Okay.
And then we've got Eagle Rare, which is a 10-year-old Kentucky bourbon from Buffalo Trace.
Okay.
It is not as readily available to the point of being frustratingly unavailable in a lot of markets.
That's unfortunate. What about in our specific market?
It's hard to get. A lot of stores don't get it.
Fantastic.
We can get Buffalo Trace here if we're at the store at the end of the month, in the middle of the week, but Eagle Rare is much harder to come by than regular Buffalo Trace. Okay. So when we're talking about retail scores, the pricing availability, You have to weigh that in because that matters to us. So, Evan Williams, Glass 1, where are you at?
I mean, for $30 and readily available, it has to get 2 thumbs up for me. Like, that's a really good price. And it was, again, I think I said I wouldn't be mad if I had either one of these.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick one, I'd pick Glass 2.
Yeah.
So I get 2 thumbs up on retail score. Consumer score, it gets a thumbs up. For the price, I would probably buy it again.
For me, Evan Williams is going to get 2 thumbs up on retail score for the same reasons. $30 for an 8-year Kentucky bourbon, single barrel. We have 2 different bottles of this. I can't remember which one is in our blind pool for this matchup, but one is a little bit more fruity sweet. I think that's this one. And then we have one that's a little bit more oak heavy, which might have been the better comparison to Eagle Rare, which is a 10-year bourbon with a little bit more of an oak influence. But nonetheless, that's the bottle that we use. So to me, 2 thumbs up on retail. Would I buy Evan Williams again or not? Well, would you buy Evan Williams again or not? It's sitting on the shelf in front of you.
I already answered that.
Oh, you did? Okay. So I'm getting lost in the sauce here. For me, it's a thumbs up as well on consumer score. I remember you saying that now.
Yep.
I should listen when she talks.
You should.
So thumbs
Please
up.
tell him that in the comments.
Yeah.
If you've made it this far in the video, type Josh. You should listen to Erin when she talks.
Yeah. Let's go on to Eagle Rare. Pretty hard to get in our local market, and a lot of people out there express a lot of frustration because they just don't see Eagle Rare.
So what does pretty hard to get mean?
It means you're probably not going to get your hands on it unless you pester a lot of stores, and some stores are even marking it up to like $50 or $100 because it's so hyped up.
Okay.
But
I have my answer.
it should be, I put $35 to not skew, but it's like a $33 to $38 bottle at MSRP. So I split the difference and put $35.
Okay.
Hard to get, but for $35, it is what it is. So
$35 to me
price and availability
is a great price. However, the limited availability hampers it for me, so I'm going to give it just okay on retail score.
Now,
however,
you walk into a store and it's sitting on the shelf for $35 in front of you.
If I walk into a store and I can get it right there for retail price, then that gets 2 thumbs up.
No, okay, yeah.
It's really good.
It is good
for not very many dollars.
Yeah.
So it's unfortunate that you can't find it, but it is what it is.
Maybe one day it'll be more readily available. For me, I think the retail score of just okay is spot on.
Yeah.
For the price, you're getting a great product, but the availability is a real problem. So just okay for that. And then would I buy it again for not? Would I buy it again or not if it's sitting on a shelf in front of me for $35? Thumbs up. I'm not going to cry myself to sleep if I can't find it because it's very classic bourbon flavors and you can get that in a lot of other products. It doesn't necessarily stand out as anything special per se, but for $35 for 10 years, it's a good deal. So
I think with something like with this, I would try to make like it my goal to buy only really inexpensive whiskeys and then tell people that they're really expensive whiskeys.
Yeah, I mean, you can look back at our Buffalo Trace versus Eagle Rare video and see what I thought about Eagle Rare in that video, and then watch our Eagle Rare versus Russell's Reserve 10-year video, which came out recently as well, and see what I thought about it in there. And that is an interesting study in how a pour can change for you day to day over a very short period of time. And this is the exact same bottle of Eagle Rare that was in those 2 videos.
Interesting. We get our real world scores by adding up the thumbs you've seen on the screen.
There are 10 points available, but this ain't your pappy's, brothers, cousins, aunts, uncles scoring system.
Dang. It's more like a bell curve.
Exactly. So what we found through hundreds of blind tastings is that when you're tasting something totally blind, you don't know if it's hyped up or not. You don't know if it's available or not. And most things tend to fall in the middle of that bell curve. The reason we score this way is because we're looking for the products that truly stand out from the pack when they're tasted blind. With that said, let's get into our real world scores for Glass 1. Okay. Evan Williams Single Barrel. Where are you at?
So for me, it gets a solid 5 out of 10.
Nice.
Very solidly in the middle, which I wasn't surprised by. Like, it was a solid pour.
Yeah, good solid middle of the road pour. Not anything you can't get in a ton of other products on the shelf. For me, it gets a 5.5. Again, mainly that's due to the availability. That helps it out a lot. But this is a really classic pour. non-blind, this is a bottle we do keep around. We really like this. It's one of the few sub 100 proof bottles that we typically buy when we run out.
Yep.
With that said, let's move on to glass 2. Eagle Rare, hyped up, allocated, hard to find in a lot of markets. Where are you at on real world score for Eagle Rare?
So no surprise to me, it's a 5.5. So just slightly higher than Evan Williams, and which is how I felt about it when I drank them.
For me, real world score is a 4.5.
Okay.
As much as this was bumped up by its availability, this takes a little hit because of its availability.
And that matters.
And if both of these were on the shelf all the time, they would probably equalize right there around that 5, that middle mark in the scoring system. These are both really classic Kentucky bourbons, but there's also a lot of other really classic Kentucky bourbons that you can get your hands on out there. I enjoy both. I'd like to have a bottle of both around. We'll continue to buy both as long as we can. I think these are both for anybody that is getting new into bourbon. If you haven't tried either one of these, you definitely owe it to yourself to try a bottle of these. They're going to be more flavorful and flavorful as well over like something like your 80 proof Basil Hayden or your 86 proof Angel's Envy or something like that. This is kind of a step up in flavor over those.
Yeah. Or I think they're good for budget friendly purchases.
Yeah.
Like
if you can find Eagle Rare at retail.
If you can find it at retail, if you're budget conscious or you aren't able to spend as much on whiskey as some people, like these would be good. If you can find them at retail, these would be good to get as well because they have really good flavor, especially for the price point.
Yeah, I mean you're getting 8 to 10 year Kentucky bourbon that's very classic for 30 to 35 bucks.
Yeah.
It's really hard to beat that. Would we pay 50 or 100 bucks for Eagle Rare?
No.
I wouldn't. There's a lot of other things we like more. We tend to like something with more proof, but if you're a really big fan of lower proof stuff, you know, to each their own.
Yeah.
You can pay what you'd like to pay for each one of these, but they're both great products. Definitely check them out if you haven't. If you can't get Eagle Rare, I hope this blind tasting shows you that it didn't completely blow our socks off. It wasn't that special.
It was a preference, but it wasn't so highly preferred that we'd be mad with the other one.
If you like head-to-heads like this, again, make sure to subscribe because we do them every Thursday. That's it for this week.
Yeah. Thank you for watching.
Till next week, guys. Cheers. Welcome to Stuff and Whiskey. I'm Josh.
And I'm Erin.
And I forgot what I'm supposed to say. That was good. Sometimes I try to talk too fast, and if I slow it down, I can actually think while I'm talking. And then I can actually get my thought out.
What a novel idea.